Hello mga ka-learners! Teacher Carmela here. Kamusta kayo? Today, you will find out how to use the scientific method in seed selection and irrigation. Farmers today are encountering many problems. These problems include the mismatch of soil to crops, uneven effects of fertilizer during application, planting during the wrong season, and the destruction of the environment by pesticide use. These problems all contribute to a lower yield of crops and a reduction in farmers' incomes. In this lesson, you will learn how to use the scientific method in selecting which seeds to plant and irrigation techniques. We will discover the importance of the scientific method in making decisions that can affect farmers. After this lesson, you should be able to first, apply the scientific method in choosing seeds that are good for planting. Second, enumerate the characteristics of good seeds. Third, know the importance of water and irrigation to plants. And lastly, learn some irrigation techniques. Listen to the following story. Mangustin has just bought a piece of land from a friend. He was glad because he could now have more rice and earn more.
Now, I won't have to buy rice anymore.
When are you going to plant the field?
As soon as possible, I can hardly wait.
Immediately, Mangustin bought rice seeds and planted them in his field. He imitated what other farmers from nearby fields are doing. He was so excited to see the results of his efforts. After 3 months, it was harvest time. However,
What happened, Paring Kanor? I harvested only a few sacks. It is much less than what I expected. My rice harvest cannot even cover my expenses in planting and maintaining the rice field.
You know, Paring Gustin, you should have considered several factors first before planting.
What do you mean, Paring Kanor?
As a farm technician, I would advise you to plant first and not simply copy what other farmers do.
Being a farmer is not as easy as it sounds. There really are a lot of factors that I should consider. I am overwhelmed.
That's correct. Paring Gustin, there are a lot of factors that you have to consider before planting. You have to decide what crops would be most suitable for the type of soil in your field. Also, you have to consider how to choose seeds properly for planting. After the field has been prepared, you should also consider irrigation and pest management.
I understand what you mean. I should have planned carefully beforehand.
Well, you can take it one at a time. First, I think you should consider what seeds to plant and how to plant them.
let us help Mangustin solve his problem. First, Mang Kanor identified a lot of possible problems. When using the scientific method, it is important to identify a specific problem first. Mang Kanor suggested that Mangustin should consider what seeds to plant. Early next morning, Mangustin consulted Mr. Cruz, a farm technician. A farm technician is someone who can analyze soil characteristics in terms of salt content and acidity.
Mr. Cruz, I wish you could help me choose the right crops to plant on my farm, but I don't know how to choose which seeds to plant.
I suggest you plant rice, Mangustin, like the farmers do in the nearby fields. I already made a survey of your area, and the soil quality is really suited for growing rice. To get a good harvest, you should get good quality seeds. These can be obtained from accredited government agencies like the Bureau of Plant Industry. This agency has an office in our town. You could also ask the regional office of the Department of Agriculture. I'm sure the farmers around you have good seeds from this year's harvest. Maybe you can ask some from them too.
Mangustin followed Mr. Cruz's advice. He went to the different government agencies which provided him with some seed samples. He was also able to ask for some seeds from his neighbors. Mangustin has finally decided to choose the C4 rice variety to plant on his farm. He visited Mr. Cruz once more.
Thanks for your advice, Mr. Cruz. I decided to use the C4 rice variety for my farm. It grows the fastest and has the best yield.
Good for you, Mangustin. I see that you are catching on quite well.
I have a few questions though. Can you tell me the characteristic of a good seed?
Mr. Cruz explained to Mangustin the characteristics of a good seed, which are: first, good seeds easily germinate or develop seedlings. Second, good seeds must be smooth and harvested from mature fruits. Small and wrinkled seeds may not contain enough food to sustain their initial growth. Third, good seeds are plump, well-developed, and without insect marks. Insects often leave scars on seeds. Such seeds seldom bear good embryos. Fourth, good seeds come from good plants. Healthy plants usually bear fruits with healthy seeds. And lastly, good seeds are well stored. Moist, smelly seeds with fungal growth are usually not healthy. Mangustin's healthy rice seeds are plump and even in appearance. Rice seeds from a good harvest will likely produce good rice later on. After consulting a farm technician, Mangustin went to a certified rice grower and purchased the rice seeds he needed. He then asked the help of his sons, Jose and Pong, in preparing the seeds for planting.
Father, what shall we do now?
We are going to make the rice seeds germinate or sprout, Jose.
What does germinate means, Father?
When a seed germinates, the embryo or the small rice plant inside the seed is allowed to develop.
How do we know when seeds have already germinated?
Well, the small embryo inside the seed becomes bigger and the seed swells. Also, a small plant or seedling starts to come out.
How do we do it, Father?
I still don't know, son. Maybe we can do an experiment to see what makes rice seeds germinate.
An experiment like what we do in school? I'm excited already.
Mangustin decided to follow the scientific method. He indicated that he and his sons needed to find out what makes rice seeds germinate best. He stated that maybe moisture is needed because water makes plants grow. He tested his hypothesis by preparing two sets of seeds. One set was soaked in water first, while the other seeds were placed on a tray and covered with an inch of soil. After 4 days, Mangustin and his two sons checked the seeds. Mangustin discovered that moisture is needed by the rice seeds to germinate. The seeds soaked in water developed into small plants, while the seeds covered with soil did not. From Mr. Cruz, he learned the proper way to germinate rice seeds. He was correct. Moisture is needed for the seeds to germinate. He found out that heat is needed as well. Water is essential for plants to perform photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants make their own food. Water is also important for dissolving the mineral nutrients in the soil so that plants can absorb them through their roots. Rice farmers often keep their rice fields wet through a process called irrigation. Irrigation refers to the regulated water supply of a plot of land that is available for plants. Rice fields usually require at least 5 inches of water above the soil for optimum plant growth. Other plants may have different water needs. Cacti thrive in deserts. These plants do not need a lot of water to survive. Garden plants usually need moderate amounts of water, just enough to keep the soil damp. Kangkong needs muddy water, while seaweeds need to be submerged in salt water to survive. Plants, like human beings, are different from one another. Each plant has a structure and function that helps it adapt to its environment. For example, the cacti in the desert have very thick coverings that prevent water loss. Seaweeds, on the contrary, have very thin, almost transparent membrane coverings. Their specific structures make these plants adapt well to their environment. Since plants have different water needs, there are also many ways of irrigation. Water can be artificially supplied to plants through the following means. Number 1, sprinklers are very useful for places with sandy soil and where the water supply is limited. Trickle irrigation is a process by which water is supplied to the roots of the plants from fine plastic tubes or drippers. Furrow irrigation is a process in which water is channeled toward a plot of land through a system of canals or furrows. This method is commonly used in rice fields and orchards and requires a large water supply. Let's remember, healthy plants grow from healthy seeds. It is best to choose seeds carefully before planting. Healthy seeds come from healthy parent plants, are well stored, and they appear plump. Also, healthy seeds do not have insect scars and other signs of infection. Irrigation is the process of artificially delivering a controlled amount of water to plants. All plants need water to survive. However, the amount of water needed varies from plant to plant. And that marks the end of our lesson. I hope that you gained new knowledge that will help you get to know the practices that can help our farmers better. See you in the next lesson to know more about the scientific method applied in agriculture.